it's your girl T, and I want to come on here and talk about a really sad case. If you guys remember, about a month or so ago, I had did a case about a 21-year-old man at the time. His name was Kalief Browder, and Kalief had went to Rikers Island jail when he was 16 years old. He was accused of supposedly stealing a backpack. He was supposed to go to trial. He never received a trial. He stayed in Rikers Island for 3 years, and in those 3 years, this man was beaten up. He was abused by not only prisoners, but by the prison CEO guards as well. So when this story initially came out back in 2012, a lot of folks dismissed it. They said he was over exaggerating. There's no way that CEOs would beat you up and do all that. But then a few months ago, he was validated, and that's when I did the story on that. He was validated when the tapes leaked out, showing him being beat up by corrections officers, showing him beat up by prison inmates. So everything that Kalief said happened to him at Rikers Island definitely did happen to him. But today, I am just so sad to announce that he committed suicide over the weekend. And when I heard this story, like, I broke down crying. I cried when I talked about his story back in April because it just touched me so much that this young man has so much strength to stand for what was right. He could have easily took a plea bargain. He could have easily just pled guilty, but he said, I'm not going to plead guilty to something that I did not do. And a lot of people don't have that type of integrity. A lot of people don't have that type of strength, especially when you're being put through mental torture. And I can honestly say, you know, looking back on that video and watching him do that interview with ABC, that you could just tell in his eyes that his spirit had left him. His spirit left him a long time ago. He was just literally a walking shell of a person. He was dealing with a lot of depression because, like I said, prison is not a place for any human being, especially here in America, because it's not about reform. It's not about, you know, making you a better person. You're just basically just thrown to the wolves. It's, you know, it's either kill or be killed, you know, survival of the fittest. And it's just a horrible situation for a teenager to be put in, to put a teenager in solitary confinement for upwards of 22 hours in hopes of keeping them safe from other inmates is just mental torture. So what happened is that on Sunday, Kalief had been going through a lot. His attorney said he had been seeing like really weird postings on Facebook, so he contacted him on Saturday to make sure that he was okay. Kalief said he was just fine, and the attorney was like, okay, you know, let me know if if anything's going on, you know, talk to me. And he assured him that he was just fine. He had recently enrolled back in college. He had dropped out because it was just really hard for him. But then an anonymous donor decided to donate to pay for his college tuition. So he ended up enrolling back in college, and he was doing somewhat better. He was getting better grades. He also ended up meeting with Jay-Z as well. He never posted the picture. He never talked about it, but this was in the article that he met with Jay-Z. But what I find funny is that Jay-Z met with him, but with all the clout that Jay-Z has, Jay-Z didn't tweet anything about it. He didn't talk about it. He didn't make this a national story. He just met with him in private, and I really wish that Jay-Z would have got his story out there even more. He also went on the Rosie O'Donnell show. This was his very last interview. It was back in November when he spoke to Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell also invited him home with her for dinner, and he went to her house and had dinner. So I want you guys to go ahead and check out his final interview with Rosie O'Donnell. I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Just a teenager when
a
this occurred.
16-year-old boy.
I have children, as do you. I coach soccer. I'm with kids all the time. What happened, what Kalief endured at the hands of those corrections officers, Rosie, it's tantamount to child abuse.
Yes, indeed.
And that's obviously just part of the story and part of what he went through.
Now, what inspired me most about you, Kalief? When they offered you the chance to plead guilty and walk out of that prison, you found it inside of you to say, no, I did not do this, and I will not wear that coat of shame.
Right.
Where do you think that came from?
It came from within. It's like, that's my feelings. And it's, you know, everything I've been through in there is like, you want me to just walk away like it's okay? It's not okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's not okay.
Yeah.
That's how I felt with it. I'm not gonna take it and then I just walk away and then I'm not.
You know, a lot of people would have done that. Did some of the other inmates, when you went back in, say, hey, why didn't you just go?
Mostly all of them was telling me to take it and go home.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't do it.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not gonna say I did that and then I didn't do it.
Right, you didn't do it.
Right.
Before you were arrested, what kind of a kid were you when you were 16, 15? What did you like?
I mean, I like to play sports, go to the park, work out at the pull-up bar. I used to like to go to parties. You know, like, everything a kid wanted to do. I liked to go to school, and it's like now it's like, I can't even have fun right now. Like, everything is just straight work and school and catching up on my life. And it's like, you know, I just came home and it's like, when I was 16, I was used to, you know, go to school, come home, chill with my friends, you know, do homework, stuff like that. Now it's like, I come home and it's like, I can't even have fun. Like, I gotta catch up back on school. I gotta try to get a job. I gotta try to get out of my mom's house. You know, I like my mom's house, but, you know, it's just, and then me catching up on my life is like,
It's a hard thing to imagine, right? Now, you're working now?
yes, I'm
And you're going to college now?
Yes.
And what is it that you dream of being?
Right now, you know, I'm trying to get into business management. I want to be a business manager, but, you know, like, before I wanted to be an auto mechanic, but I don't know, every day is like, I want to be something different.
He's only 21, Rose.
Yeah, you're only
That could
21.
change.
My kids don't know what they want to be at that age either.
Right.
But you have everything available to you right now, and I think so many people who feel the injustice that happened to you and who would be more than willing to help you get to the place where you deserve to be, which is happy inside, because you are an innocent man and you are a strong young boy and you survived what most people never could. And I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. I know your mom called you Peanut when you were little, right?
Yeah, she did.
She did. And she must have been one heck of a mom to take in all those foster kids.
She was. I mean, she did.
And she
wa-
still is.
Right.
Yeah. We got you a little something. We knew you didn't know it's here. That you just a little laptop for you, so that you can work your way up, just to get what you need to get.
Thank you.
And we want you to keep in touch because we care about you. I really care about you, honey. I looked at you and I thought that could be my son. And if he was, I would be the proudest mother in the world.
Right.
Thank you for being here. I love you. I'm going to give you a kiss.
Really inspirational.
An inspiration, without a doubt.
Not just for, I'm sorry,
That's
not
okay.
just for young men who have gone through the system
Yes.
and who have been wrongfully accused and imprisoned, but almost anyone who's gone through adversity
Yes.
can take some sort of inspiration from his story.
You're not kidding, honey. I didn't sleep for 2 nights after reading it, and then I called your lawyer, and I'm so happy I got to meet you.
All right, so you guys just saw his interview with Rosie O'Donnell. So back to what the lawyer was saying. So then what happened is that basically his mother said that she last saw him in the afternoon. And he told his mom, you know what, Mom, I'm just tired. I'm just tired of everything. She assumed that he was just, you know, physically tired. He just wanted to go to sleep. She said that she then heard a thud and she didn't understand where the thud came from. She went in the house. She didn't see anything. They later found strips of bedding that were ripped apart because it seemed like he initially tried to commit suicide using his bed sheets like he had tried to in jail. He had attempted suicide several times at Rikers Island, but they were able to save him. So when he initially tried to commit suicide in his bedroom, the sheets didn't hold him and they ended up breaking. So that was the first thud that she heard, and you know, I guess he played it off like everything was okay. They said later on what he ended up doing was basically using the AC unit. He pushed it out the wall. He had the AC unit hanging this way in the bedroom. He wrapped the cord around his neck and then he forced himself through the window. So the mother ended up going outside and she saw his body hanging from the second-story window. So the AC was in the house and his body was hanging on the side of the building. You know, I just feel so bad for this young man. You know, I was in tears this morning. Like I said, like this was a family member of mine because this story is so sad. And the thing that bothers me the most is that Khalif's story just isn't even getting the attention that it deserves. When you think about all the people on YouTube who do commentary, I think only me and the Vice TV show are really the only ones who even talked about this case. And still this whole Caitlyn Jenner thing is being talked about all over YouTube, all over social media, all over the news. But this is a young man who to me is a hero. This is a young man who stood by his integrity, who refused to bow down to the system. This is a young man who suffered abuse, who suffered all types of mental anguish, mental torture, because he believed in doing what was right. because he knew he was innocent. So this man to me, this young man to me, even though he took his life, is a hero. You know, and I can't even blame him for committing suicide because, as you guys know, I suffer with depression. I've never been through what he's been through, but I've been through a lot of shit in my life. And one thing about depression, you know, doesn't matter how much money you have, how famous you are, how beautiful you are, when you get so down in the dumps and you feel like you have nobody to talk to, nobody understands what you're going through mentally, you know what I'm saying? It's a very, very scary place. And like I said, when I watched that video of him on ABC, I could just already tell like he didn't have much left. There's only so much that could have pushed him over the edge. You know, when you go through something like that, I can't even knock him for the choice that he chose to make. You know, the whole situation to me is just heart-wrenching. Rand Paul, he sent out this tweet. Rand Paul had really been a big advocate of trying to change the criminal justice system, especially out there at Rikers Island, which is one of the biggest, you know what I'm saying, jails in the country. And I talked about the prison industrial complex in my other video, and I feel like that's the only reason why they kept this young man in jail, because they make money off of these prisoners. The prison system is a new slavery. It's about money. It's about filling a bed. When you have a 16-year-old kid go to jail for something he did not do, he doesn't get a trial, you can't tell me it wasn't about them keeping him there because they got money for every day that he was there in that prison for 3 years. They got money to feed him. It kept CEOs paid. You know, so this is just really, really sad. And if this could happen to Kalief, it could happen to anybody. You know, so my heart definitely goes out to him. Like I said, I feel like I'm about to start crying even talking about this situation, but my heart definitely goes out to his family. And, you know, I could just imagine everything that he was going through. And I just feel really, really bad for this young man because nobody deserves to go through something like that, especially when you're innocent. I'm just really sad that his chapter had to end like that. And I blame every CO, every police officer, every prosecutor, every lawyer who knew that this young man didn't do anything wrong, but they allowed him to rot. You guys are guilty for his death just as much as he is for taking his life. You guys played a part, and I hope he haunts you every fucking night, because this whole situation to me is sickening that a child had to lose his childhood behind a fucking backpack. You know, like, it just makes no sense to me whatsoever. And I just feel so bad for his family and for his mother, because not only were they robbed of seeing their child and being with their child and, you know, seeing their child graduate high school, go to prom, the shit that these CEOs are able to see and be there with their children every night, these parents were robbed of that. He had a father and a mother, and they were robbed of that. You feel me? And that just makes me so upset. To see your child go to jail as a child and come out as a grown man with all types of issues because of what he went through. The family still needs to go through with the lawsuit that Kalief was working on with his lawyer. They need to sue Rikers Island and every police officer or CEO who put their hands on that young man. Everyone needs to be held accountable. This is what Obama should be talking about. Obama should be tweeting about Kalief Browder and how fucked up the criminal justice system is, how fucked up the prison industrial system is. This is what Obama should be tweeting about. Not sitting here tweeting about pop culture. This is the shit that Obama should be talking about. But we'll wait and see if Obama sends a tweet concerning this young man's situation. We'll wait and see how many celebrities tweet about this young man's situation. We'll wait and see if Jay-Z says anything about this young man's situation. We'll wait and see if Kalief Browder's suicide becomes a national talking point, like the whole Caitlyn Jenner situation. I'm gonna sit back, sip my tea, but I doubt anybody will be talking about this besides the blogs and the New York media. Anyways, go ahead and leave a comment. Let's get the discussion popping. How did you feel when you heard that Kalief committed suicide? And how do you feel about this entire case in general? Go ahead and just turn this camera off because I'm getting upset and I'm getting very, very emotional. But go ahead and leave a comment. Let's get the discussion popping. All right, bye. Hey YouTube, it's your girl Lovely T, and you can show me some love by hitting that subscribe button, watching my previous videos, and following me on social media.